and we'll bring that up because now we're going to the Utah Jazz. And good transition, Sean. Thanks.
Nice job, Sean.
But we're going to be talking about Gordon Hayward and specifically the Jazz. And really, are the Jazz built for the future? And I bring up Gordon Hayward because his contract is coming up. He does have a player option for next year. So if he takes it, then he'll be able to extend it for 1 year. But he can possibly become a free agent this year. And, so he'll have 1 year under the current CBA. But the next year, he will be able to get a large contract that was brought up. And I don't think he'll be getting Anthony Davis money, but he'll still be able to get a very significant contract from the Utah Jazz. So, first off, question is, are the Jazz built for the future?
Absolutely. I think this is a team that has a deep amount of talent, and the biggest thing was smart moves in the offseason. They picked up George Hill, which there was a lot of question marks about George Hill because of his age. He's getting older. But dude still got it. He still is playing fantastic, and I don't think there should have been question. I think the Pacers sold him way short of his value. So it was a great pickup by the Jazz, and he's been a huge help to this team. I know he's been hurt, but look, he'll be like the thing is, this is a team that we haven't even seen them hit their stride yet, and they're still performing this well. When everybody's there and everybody's healthy, this is one of the scariest teams in the league because of how deep they are. I think they have done a great job building up, and I was joking around with Ricky before the show talking about Gordon Hayward, how much he's grown in the last 5-6 years.
I mean, just look at a picture of him from 2010 to now.
He looked like about a $110 soaking wet. Now he's like a full-grown man. It's just bizarre to see. And like he's always been a stud when it comes to shooting. So he's really grown his game.
Almost made that shot against Duke, too.
Whatever,
almost
man.
made it.
Whatever. But no, look, this is a team that top to bottom in the draft and everywhere in free agency, they've hit on it, and they've been building up a franchise like the right way. This is like the NBA's like, yes, you've done this correctly. We should reward you with success. But, they've had the short end of the stick on some injuries. I think this is a team that's going to be definitely set to be a Western Conference contender for years to come.
Well, this is a team that, look at the competition. That the big thing that's going to stand in their way, Clippers, Rockets, Spurs, Warriors, the competition that they have to face within their own conference.
But the thing that I wanted to bring up, though, is more for the future, because right now I don't think this season they're going to be competing for a championship, but I think they can definitely be spoilers in some aspects, and I think that they can either be on the level of the Grizzlies, where they are a very deep team and a team that doesn't have a huge superstar, or they can take that next step and be the Spurs that have a very deep team who don't have a huge superstar. I know Tim Duncan was a superstar, but more of they have guys that fly under the radar and are constantly flowing in because they draft so well and are a deep team and take that next step and can win titles.
Well, the interesting thing is, to me, they have at the end of this year one possibly big free agent and then another big free agent. First off, George Hill, he's the for sure, will be an unrestricted free agent after this season. Does he stay? Does he go? How much money do the Jazz pay him? Are fans going to be happy if, let's say, they overpay him and give him, like Dave said, the money that the organization, hey, you played up, this is how much you're worth, even though maybe you might have gave him a little bit less. And Gordon Hayward. With me, if I'm Gordon Hayward, I am opting out of next year, and it has nothing to do with the Utah Jazz. The only reason why is, I know before the podcast we were a little iffy if the new CBA starts before the 2018-19 season or after that season. Either way, you have to look at it this way. If that new CBA starts at the beginning of the 2018 season, great. That is right before I am going to be a unrestricted free agent. Otherwise, what? I have to take a 1-year deal? No, I'm going to opt out of this deal. I'm going to get the money that I have now, no matter where it is.
It is the 2018 season. So if he accepts the player option and then becomes a free agent in 2018,
he'll be eligible right away.
He will be eligible for the CBA, for the new CBA,
so really
and for the contract extension.
So really, if you want to stay in Utah, he'll accept the player option. If not, just not.
I mean, he could even take a 1-year contract and get more money than $16 million because he'll be able to stay there for $16 million, and then if he leaves here in free agency and then goes to a team like Boston, because I know he's always rumored to go to Boston because of his ties.
Brad Stevens.
Yeah, his ties to Brad Stevens, and plus just the fact that they do need a small forward. I know Jaylen Brown's been coming up, but still, he'll be able to sign with Boston, and then Boston will be able to give the contract extension. I don't think it will be to the same effect of a guy who's been there for multiple years,
right, but
you'll still be able to get more money than any other team. So I think looking at that, I mean, Gordon Hayward does still have options. Even
well, the question is, does he want to blow a bunch of or draw a bunch of money from the Jazz this year and force their hand on that, making the team possibly worse because they won't be able to spend the money in free agency. They might need to fill in some more vital role players for them. I think that it really depends a lot on this year's success, and I think that I mentioned earlier it's injuries. So if they can't get healthy and they can't get to the second round of the playoffs, I don't know if he is really interested in coming back, because he could be like, you know what? I'm staring down at the West and I see horrible problems for the next couple of years to come. Maybe I do want to go to the East. Maybe I don't want to stay here.
I'm just staring at the Raptors and the Cavs. Everyone else is, about 3 games between each other?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of room for competition in the East. So I'm a little worried because it all depends on him. And look, Gordon Hayward is a great guy, and like he comes out publicly, does a bunch of stuff for the community. But at the same time, like, dude, you know what's best for you, what's best for the franchise. They might not be the same thing coming up.
And that's the whole thing. Like the whole question of, are they set up for the future? It really hangs, like you said, Dave, on this free agency class coming up, because Gordon Hayward, I'm going to say right here, if he denies the player option and doesn't accept it, he ain't coming back to Utah. And the reason why is I think it would be a horrible organizational move to spend so much money on a 1-year deal just for Gordon Hayward. If he says, no, I don't want it, I'd be like,
if that 1 year
cool.
gives you the bridge to get to a 6-year contract, then it's so worth it.
And if you believe this is the actual cornerstone of your franchise, a guy in Gordon Hayward who's been putting up great numbers, and you have a guy like Rudy Gobert who's just extended. You just extended. You have Rodney Hood for a while now. I think his contract runs up in 2019, and you have him for dirt cheap. I believe he's still on his rookie contract.
Yeah,
he's making like
$3
$2 million
if he takes his player option that year, which I don't think he would.
No,
he's worth way more than that.
And one thing too with Derek Favors as well, and looking at Derek Favors, I mean he's coming back from a knee injury, but he's still locked up for another year, and he's making $11 million. So if he isn't able to come back from that knee injury right away, his value is going to go down. They might be able to save him for cheap. So I think that looking at this team, and Utah specifically, I think that they are built for the future, because if you're able to bring back Gordon Hayward, a guy who has been able to show that he's not only a great shooter, he's good driving to the basket, and he's just a good player overall. And you have a guy like Rudy Gobert, who's one of the elite rim protectors.
Who is locked down on that.
In the NBA. And you have a great scorer in Rodney Hood, and you have obviously George Hill. You don't even need to bring him back, but if you do bring him back, that just strengthens your team. Yeah. And I just think that you have young guys like Dante Exum on that team, and he hasn't been performing as well when they originally drafted him, but he has been dealing with some injury problems. I just think that this team, especially Trey Lyles as well, I just think that this team will be able to bring in guys like how the Dallas Mavericks used to build their team. They'll be able to bring in guys who are kind of aging or who are kind of past their prime, but can still bring great scoring like a Joe Johnson, how they did this season. I still think that the Utah Jazz, as long as they can keep players like Rudy Gobert, Gordon Hayward, Rodney Hood, and possibly Derek Favors, if he's able to come back from that injury, around, they will still have a great core, and that core will be able to compete. And I think they could be like the Dallas Mavericks of 2011 when they upset the Miami Heat. I think that they can kind of be near the level of the San Antonio Spurs of old. I don't think exactly like that level, because I think that's pretty insane to say that they can be like Tim Duncan, Tony Parker.
No, on that level,
but or like the Memphis Grizzlies, who are constantly a playoff team, who are constantly competing, but they've dealt with a lot of injuries.
Again, it's injuries, but they're also built kind of differently because they play that real physical style.
They do,
and
but
couple bigs.
More of how their success, and not really the
which is a bunch
style.
of interesting pieces.
Yeah,
so I could see that. I could see them going out in free agency and being able to fill out this team nicely.
I think the Utah Jazz are a team that's built for the future. Plus, they do have draft picks, and obviously they've shown that they've been able to draft well. They drafted Gobert, they drafted Hayward, they drafted Rodney Hood, they drafted Trey Lyles. They've drafted very, very well for themselves. So I think they are a team that can definitely build up. And I think that looking at these players, Hayward's 26, Favors is 25, I believe Gobert's 24, Rodney Hood's like 22. I think this team's really built for the future.
Yeah, the question really just comes down to, if everything clicks this year and they can take it deep in the playoffs, make it worth Hayward's time. That's all you got to do.
Well, and the thing I think of, and this is, the future's a tricky thing because you never know how anything's gonna plan out. But right now, with how the 4 teams at the top of the West are built, I think the Jazz at the most could be, hey, we're a 5th seed, like perennial 5th seed. Because
disagree
the
completely.
Clippers, Rockets,
the
Spurs,
Clippers
and
are the biggest question.
And like I said, the future is weird how things will play out. If any of those 4 fall out, it's either the Clippers or the Rockets more so. You
also have to think the Clippers have capped. The Clippers can't get any better.
Yep.
I mean, Chris Paul is getting older, Blake Griffin's getting older, DeAndre Jordan's getting older, and JJ Redick. They have hit their prime, but we've seen what we've seen.
So really, it's just coach's son. We got to get little Rivers out there. Building up his game.
We've seen what we can see from the LA Clippers, and I think that if the Utah Jazz can improve and get better, I think that they can jump up to a 3 seed. And plus, I think the Rockets are overachieving a little bit. And plus, if you look at that team,
they're one injury away from being awful.
I mean, Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson, those two guys go down. I mean.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that those guys go down. I mean, you're definitely you're just declining completely because those guys have injury history. James Harden's fantastic, but we've seen.
That's what I was worried. I was like, I'm not so worried about those two.
We've seen but I mean, James Harden hasn't had the injury problems like Eric Gordon. I mean,
fair.
Look at Oklahoma City. I mean, as long as Russ is healthy, they're going to be in the playoff hunt. And I think the same goes with Houston. I think Houston's definitely been great, but I think that they have been overachieving a little bit. And plus with the Spurs, you're always waiting for that drop off. And again, it's kind of ridiculous to expect a drop off, but
not going to happen.
But looking at LaMarcus Aldridge, I mean, he's getting older. Paul Gasol's getting older. I mean, you still have Kawhi, but then it's really how much can you bring back in through free agency and the draft if you're going to be a team that's going to be at 30 or whatever they're going to be in the draft. How well are you going to be able to draft and bring players in? Because obviously they've been doing a fantastic job, but how much can that keep up, and how much can you really bring in to help this team? So I think that the Jazz, yes, they might not be able to overtake the Golden State Warriors in the next 4 years or however long KD and those four will be playing together, but I definitely think that the Utah Jazz can give them a run for the money because while Golden State is so good at the top, the Utah Jazz do have the depth, and I think that it has shown that if you're able to gas them out and then you have a great second unit built of veterans, I think that the Jazz can definitely be a team that can fight for a Western Conference championship.
The thing with the Spurs, I just want to throw out there because this is one analogy that I just thought of. I kind of think of them as like the New England Patriots standing wise.
That is not the first time anyone's thought of that.
NBA kind of. Well, they're always 1-2. Always 1-2. Got a great coach. The only difference is they don't have a Tom Brady. Or if you want to say their Tom Brady retired earlier.
Yeah.
Kind of retired earlier than the real Tom Brady.
Definitely. Tom Brady's still going to be playing for 5 more years, but it's a different conversation for a different podcast. But anyways, Jazz, I think, are built for the future. I think that as long as they keep this core of Hayward, Gobert, and Hood, I don't even think Favors needs to stay around. To be honest with you, I think that you can find someone like Trey Lyles who's more versatile than Derek Favors, even though Favors is great down low.
I think that move Favors maybe next year because I mean he is making $12 million.
If he's healthy,
if he comes back and he's healthy, then no. I think you can either trade him the next year, but if you're a playoff team and you're still able to compete,
that's what I'm saying. Next year he's making $12 million. Do you maybe move him next year in that contract year? I
mean, if he's still putting towards your team and he's still making you a better team and he's got you in the 5 seed, then no, you would let him walk if that means a possible 2 seed or a championship. I think it just depends on where they are, and that's just something definitely for along the road because I don't know where Derek Favors will be. Derek Favors might fall off a cliff and they might trade him to the.
Everything about the Jazz future revolves around this offseason and what Gordon Hayward's going to do.
And I have trust in Gordon Hayward too, that he believes in the little man. He went to Butler. He believes in the little man, and I think he's going to go with Utah. And I just think that Utah's built for the future. But anyways,